What's happening, guys? Happy Friday. You already know what it is. Friday night lights, and it's a little Spurs preview as we are playing Spurs tomorrow. So I want to hear what you guys' thoughts are. Who should be the starting 11? Sorry, of course, there's been a bit of Manchester United news. I think today, of course, going to talk about Johnny Evans reportedly getting a possible 1 year contract. If that's not a message to Harry Maguire, then I do not know what is. A bit of transfer talk, of course, and of course, as always, I want to hear everybody's opinion. So big up to everybody in the chat, wherever you are watching from. You know what it is, Friday Night Lights. It's a must, and I'm actually excited for tomorrow's game against Spurs. I'm not gonna lie, I'm looking forward to it. First game away from home. One thing I think is that this season we need to be better away from home, especially when it comes against the top 6 teams. We need to be much better. But on top of that, it'll be interesting to see how we line up. Big up to Mike in the chat as always. I hope you are doing well. Shout out to Austin. You guys heard what Austin said. Make sure you drop a like on your way in. Big up to Eric, says let's go Friday night. Big up Queen Mina. Much love. Appreciate it. Always. Tomorrow, Manchester United versus Tottenham Hotspurs. I think it's a 5:30 kickoff. I will be doing a stream much after the game just to break down whatever happens in the game. You know what it is. So you guys can come and catch me after the game. It'll probably be a late stream because of the time of the game. But like I said, this is our first test in the season away from home. Coming off the back of the Wolves game, I think it's very important for us to get a result against Spurs. It's kind of crazy because even though Spurs lost Harry Kane, they didn't look too bad in their opening game of the Premier League. Of course, new manager, all of that. Some players that they've brought in that I'm impressed with and I've always been a fan of, Maddison, for example. But one thing I will say is that there's quite a few players, I think, in Manchester United that just have to impress tomorrow. I don't know what the starting 11 will be like. Will Rashford start up top this time? Might we see Anthony Martial, who played in a behind closed doors session against Everton on Tuesday, I think it was. So he's clearly able to play. I'm not sure if he's match fit. That's a different question because he didn't take part, obviously, in pre-season. But I'm going to say I think, but to be honest, I don't know who will start up top. One thing I'll say is I do not want Marcus Rashford playing as a number 9. I need to see him on the left. I would actually like to see Sancho starting out on the right. Of course, Anthony kind of has that position secured under Eric Ten Hag. It's a rotational position, and I anticipate that Jadon Sancho might be an impact sub over the next couple months. But I would like to see Marcus Rashford on the left. Can I just say one thing, yeah? I can't believe people are already turning on Marcus Rashford after the Wolves game. That's, to me, kind of mental. One game into the season, this is a guy that scored 30 plus goals last season. Just give him time. Obviously, we ain't going to be seeing Rasmus Højlund, I think, anytime soon. I don't think he'll be playing until, I think Ten Hag said maybe around the Arsenal game. He is in training and training with the team. So that is obviously a good sign. But the biggest concern for me, I think, is that midfield. That midfield is the biggest concern for me, especially when, who do Spurs have? They got Bissouma, is Bentancur, they've got Kulusevski on the right, Son on the left. I can't remember who's their other midfielder. They've got a pretty stacked midfield, especially in transition if they are playing with a back 5 where they play with the wing backs when they're attacking. That's the only concern for me. We saw what happened with Wolves. We saw what happened with Mason Mount, Bruno Fernandes, etc., etc. So I'm just a bit concerned about that. Big up to Ricardo Brown, says, hey Mina, what's up? Hope you're doing better than Flay G. Absolutely. Big up to Adam, says, big up to Mina and the chat as always. Mike dropping his starting 11. Andre Onana, Wan-Bissaka, Varane, Martinez and Luke Shaw in the back. Casemiro, Bruno Fernandes, Mason Mount, and then Marcus Rashford, Jadon Sancho, and who's AS? Am I missing someone? Who's AS? I might be really stupid right now. That can't be Anthony Martial. So I'm trying to figure out who has a S. Yeah, who's AS? Mike, please clarify for me. I might just be really dumb right now. Maybe that was meant to say AM for Anthony. Oh, Anthony Santos. Okay. Sorry, my bad. Yeah, my bad. Clearly, I was having a very stupid moment there. So, Mike saying Anthony on the right, Sancho on the left, Marcus Rashford through the middle. I kind of disagree with that. Big up to Ahmed says AG49 Alejandro Garnacho is an impact player. Sancho has to start. One thing we can all agree, I think, is that when Sancho came on, he was the biggest difference maker for us, especially in transition, especially in that final third. He was, for me, the biggest influence in those 25-ish minutes that he played. Of course, with sometimes I think, especially with Sancho, you don't know what you're getting when he plays. You don't know if you're getting that impactful player if he starts, or you don't know if you're getting a player that's his confidence is in the mud. So I'm hoping that Sancho is a false 9, okay, and Marcus Rashford out left. Okay, that makes sense. Of course, one thing I don't understand is that was a formation we saw often in pre-season where Jadon Sancho played as a false 9, and we've not seen it at all. Well, we're only one game into the season, but I think we saw it quite often in pre-season. So it'll be interesting to see if that's an alternative option that they've been working on for, during the season. I just don't want to see Marcus Rashford as a 9. I don't think we get much from him. I genuinely feel like sometimes we play with one less player in attack because, his movement between the lines is not like a number 9. And I can't criticize him too much for that, to be honest, because we know what he's capable of doing. So for that reason, I think him as a left is... Can I just say one thing, guys? I don't know if anybody's seen it, and I don't know why I keep paying attention to it. But Jamie Carragher has already started on Manchester United. We are one game into the season. Last year, it was Lisandro Martinez that he had stuff to say about, in the beginning of the season, after the first 2 games. Now, he wrote a whole article, I think it was on The Guardian or The Telegraph or something, about Casemiro and how basically Casemiro is pants. What was the title of the article? It's like... The devil works hard, but Carragher works harder. He's funny though. I always laugh at Carragher. I can't lie. I do find him funny, but this article, I need to find the title. Yeah, so it was for the Telegraph, and the title was Casemiro was a short-term fix for Manchester United. Declan Rice and Moises Kean were better buys. And then he tweeted the article, and then he wrote, at over 100 million, Enzo Fernandez, Rice and Caicedo are all better value signings than Casemiro is at 70 million. He did very well last season, but watching him on Monday would be a worry for Manchester United with him at 31 with 4 years left on his deal. Can I just say one thing? Yeah, I'll be very shocked if he runs down his 4 years on his contract. I would be very shocked. I give it about 2-3 years max. Yeah, that's number one. Number two, getting him for 70 million at his age, that was a year ago. Yeah, coming off the back of a Champions League winning Real Madrid. I think they won the champ. That's the year that they won. No, they didn't win the Champions League. But he's won 5 Champions League with Real Madrid. One of the best midfielders in Europe for how many years? Him and Modric are alongside Cruz. I don't see him staying at Manchester United for his 4 years. But I do not agree with Jamie Carragher saying that he's not a good value signing at 70 million. Because I'm sorry. Paying 115 million for Moises Caicedo, who's a great player, don't get me wrong, but you're really paying 115 million for potential because he's not a finished package at that point. Am I right? Am I right in saying that he's not a finished package at that point? So you're paying for the potential, and then as a result, it's a risk. Whereas if you're paying 70 million for the finished product and you get the best of 2 or 3 years out of him, that is not a bigger risk than paying 100 and something million on a player that has that ceiling and can get there, but they might not. I think that's a bigger risk. I don't know. I saw that article, as always, Manchester United fans going in on him, and I wasn't too surprised. But I just find it funny that it's taken 1 game for Jamie Carragher to come out, and I can't wait. Yeah, I can't wait until the end of the season when he comes back and he apologizes for that. I can't wait till he comes back, apologizes for it, Same way he did with Lisandro Martinez, of course. Everybody saying that they CBA with him. Big up to Koala, says big up Minosaurus. Big up to Koala. Hope you are good. I'd rather listen to Talk Sport than Carragher. I'm not gonna lie, guys. I'll be very honest. I don't really consume mainstream media that much. Maybe I watch Sky Sports sometimes, especially like during the day when there's not really anything on TV. I'll just have Sky Sports on. I don't really consume mainstream media. I prefer fan content. I'm not gonna lie. I like podcasts. I like YouTube, that kind of stuff. So I don't really listen to Talk Sport except for when I see those little clips that go online. That's the only time I really watch it. But on the topic, before we get into the Spurs game, because we're gonna talk about Spurs game, we're gonna talk about our predictions, we can talk about starting 11, all of that stuff. I want to know you guys' thoughts on Erik ten Hag's comments today, and I'm gonna read it. I'm gonna read it out to you, because if this is not a message to Harry Maguire, then I do not know what else could be a message to him, if I'm being honest. And someone actually asked me on Twitter if I was gonna do a video about the Mason Greenwood thing. I'm not gonna talk about it. That's it. Okay, cool. So Erik ten Hag in his pre-match press conference today, in the lead up to the Spurs games, was talking about Johnny Evans, and he said, "We are in talks, and when we have news, we will bring it as always. But for this month, he is under contract, but we are talking." Now, if Johnny Evans somehow gets a 1-year contract to be a backup centre back at Manchester United, 4th option, 5th option, whatever, I'm sorry, but Harry Maguire, you are embarrassing. You are an embarrassment to the establishment of athletics, yeah? And I'm saying that because he will not play you. Erik ten Hag is trying to push Harry Maguire out. And Harry Maguire has every right to stay and get his money that he's owed. Of course, I think the issue with him and West Ham was about pay, and the issue was about pay, the difference in the variation between 100k a week, what West Ham wanted to pay him, versus 190, which is what he earns at Manchester United, and he wanted that 90k difference from Manchester United. So apparently there was some issues there. But if Manchester United now go out of their way to sign Johnny Evans to a 1-year deal as a rotational player, as a backup player, whatever, and the Euros are coming up and Harry Maguire willingly continues to stay at the club, I don't think he feels threatened enough about his spot in the England national team, especially with is his name Colwill? I think it's pronounced Colwill, at Chelsea on the come up. And then Erik ten Hag went on to say other stuff about Harry Maguire. And he said, "Harry Maguire is a player for us. I'm happy he's here. We need a good squad. We have 4 good centre-halves, including Luke Shaw. We have 5, and we need it because we're going to play 50, 60 games. But it's up to him how much he plays. He knows what to expect from me. I've been here for 1 year now, and you know what I expect from my centre-half. He can do it. I've told you many times before. He has the ability to do it, and now he just has to show it." I absolutely do not believe that. I do not believe that at all. I don't believe that Ten Hag truly thinks that he can play in the team. I think obviously he will always come out and say positive stuff, I think, about players. We already know what to expect from Ten Hag, but I just think at this point, I don't get Jacob, what does Jacob have to take away from Ten Hag and the press conference, etc., and be like, maybe I should leave? I do not get it. Maguire's career is dusted, beyond dusted. It's beyond dusted. And you know what will be a real non-surprise, I say? A real non-surprise will be if he doesn't play. Say this season he plays about 20 games. I will say he might start 2, maybe in the Carabao Cup, maybe early rounds of the FA Cup. He might start a game here or there. He will still go to the Euros. You know, he will still go. He will be the starting centre-back at the Euros. And the reason why I say that is because I don't believe anything that Gareth Southgate says. I do not believe a word that Gareth Southgate says. Big up to Dean says, what have I missed? Club sold yet? Maguire gone? Neither. I can't believe that talks about the club sell has just gone dead. I ain't heard nothing since, when was it? June. I think it was June times. That's the last time we've heard anything. Big up to Fatah says, also Al Ittihad want Varane. We could lose him next season. I definitely see Varane leaving, maybe next year. I see him going next year, maybe the year after. They're going to go get the bag. I think at that point, that's why United have been in for centre-backs. Obviously, we might not get any. And we could talk about that actually as well, because I want to hear everybody's thoughts about how the transfer window might shape up in the last 2 or so weeks. Somebody get Koala off Google Translate. I heard we offered Harry 7 million to go and he's demanding 12 million. I think so. If my maths is correct, he's owed 90k a week. Yeah, to times how many weeks is there in a month? In a year, sorry, 52, and then it's times he's got 3 years left on his contract. So it's around, I think, 12 million. That's the difference. So the difference is, I think West Ham offered him 100k a week. Obviously, United pay him 190 a week. So they have to. United were offering to cover that difference across the 2 years. What makes me laugh even more, what is even more funny, is that United want to get rid of Eric Bailly, and he asked for his contract to be terminated and for a payout of 700k, and they said no. Are they really cash strapped? Do you guys really think, paying that fee for Højlund means that the club are really tight for money? Because that could really be the case. Because I can't lie, Eric Bailly is not going to play. He's not going to be in the squad. He's not going out on loan. I don't think he'll be in the 23-man team that probably gets submitted for competitions, etc. because of, head count. But I don't ever see him genuinely playing. So wouldn't you just part ways, pay your 700k, save your money? I don't know even how much he's on. He's probably on like 80k a week. So but to be honest, he's only got 1 year left. So maybe 700k was more than however much was remaining on his contract. So they'd rather just pay him that. But for me, the most mind-blowing thing, and I don't know how to feel about it, is possibly them bringing back Johnny Evans, even if it's on a free. Even though it's only for 1 year, it's just weird. Somebody said, I was speaking to someone and they said to me it would be like a Huddleston signing, where it's like he plays with the under 21s or under 23s, whatever, does his little coaching badges on the side, and basically works for the club. But I just don't get it. To me, it makes no sense. And if you want the club to be moving forward, why would you do something like this? Even if they're paying him 50k a week, priority should be to get people off the books, I think. Why is Brandon Williams still on our books? Why is Brandon Williams still at the club? Can someone explain that to me? I actually do not know why Brandon Williams is still a Manchester United player. It makes absolutely no sense to me. Who else is there that's still on? Even what's it called? Tendon Mengi, he's playing with the under 21s or under 23s or whatever. Twin Zabi, I think, is going, or has he gone? There's just a lot of players. I'm looking at them thinking, what are they still doing at the team? What are they still doing there? But number one for me is Brandon Williams. I don't know how Brandon Williams has scammed this long. He's on like 90k a week as well, doing balloons. He's doing balloons on his way to training. It's just, it blows my mind. Maguire's still going to start for England, most likely. I wouldn't be surprised if that's honestly the case. I don't know if you guys have been following. It's not Manchester United related, but Youssouf Fofana from Monaco, Nottingham Forest have bidded for him. I think it's 35 million. They've had a bid accepted. For me, that is if Manchester United were serious, and obviously we're not a serious club. That's what I'm saying, hypothetically, if we were serious, they would just go and hijack that. 35 million, I'm sorry, for Yusuf Fofana is a bargain. He was a great partner to Tchouaméni before Tchouaméni left Monaco. Then he was a great partner last season with Mohamed Kamara, obviously. And one thing I like about Monaco is, but not just Monaco, but they buy players from like RB Salzburg, etc., develop them, sell them for profit. And obviously we've seen it happen many times before. They did it with Tchouaméni, they're doing it with Fofana, they will do it with Mohamed Kamara as well. But I'm sorry, 35 million to go to Nottingham Forest, that's a good midfield they got. That's actually a good midfield Nottingham Forest got. We should be all over that. I saw that, I think it was yesterday. I saw the news yesterday and I was just baffled. I was like, what? Now I gotta go get a Nottingham Forest shirt? Nah, I'm joking. But it seems like everybody's making moves. Even Liverpool buying this Endo guy, this Japanese player, Endo, who I've heard of once or twice. I don't know much about him, to be honest, but I've heard of him once or twice. But again, I just feel like maybe someone says it here. Here you go. Big up to Little Yo-Yo in the chat, as always, says this is a regular trend for Man United. We make signings at broken August, then go on a spending spree near the end of the window. I think it's gonna be too chaotic, like that end of the window period, because they're expected to make an announcement about that situation that's happening at the club. On top of that, the transfer window will be ending. We've heard nothing about the takeover, so that's another thing. And I feel like that takeover stuff is hindering how much we can spend in windows. Were they really telling the truth when they said we had 150 million to spend in the window? But we've spent about how much? Around 160, I think we've spent. So I wouldn't be too far. It wouldn't be too far off to say that was actually the transfer budget. But I don't think we can wait to play against Spurs tomorrow. We got Nottingham Forest next week. We've got Arsenal, and then I think we got Brighton. But by the time we play Brighton and Arsenal, I think the transfer window has actually closed. So what happens then? At that point, what happens? Do you guys think we've made all our signings for the summer transfer window? Do you think Rasmus Højlund, Andre Onana and Mason Mount are likely to be the only incomings for this window? If that was the case, what would we even rate that? I would rate it a 4. I would rate it a 4 or a 5, I would say. I would say it's not great, but it's not the worst window. I've definitely seen worse windows. I've definitely seen worse summer transfer windows at the club. But I think we get 2 more people. I think we get another striker, and I think we get another midfielder. I think it's one or the other. Mina is salty about Fofana going Forest. 100%. 100%. I am big time salty. Look at Koala with this joke. Mina, what are you talking about? Oh, that's a good one, man. That's a good one. I have to give you that. Any news about Caroline for the women? I am eager to sign her since you mentioned her on Twitter. It's still ongoing. I know the club put in a bid, but it has to be a bid good enough for her to leave from what's they called, NCC or some North Carolina something. I think it will happen. From what I've been told, what I've heard, it's gonna happen. I wouldn't even say that the manager was asked a question in a presser yesterday. Sorry guys, this is related to women's football. If you follow me on Twitter, you know that I tweet often about women's football. But basically, I tweeted about a player that United have put a bid in for. Then other reporters have backed it up and said it's true. United have put a bid in for her. And then the coach was asked in a press conference yesterday about these rumours about, one of their players leaving to go to Manchester United. And he basically was like, oh, don't believe whatever you read from random people online. I don't know if that was a shot at me. I don't know if that was a shot at me, but it was funny. So I'll say keep your eyes peeled. I think she'll be joining Manchester United. Of course, they just signed Jace. I found out that's how you pronounce her name, Brazilian player from Barcelona, which I also reported earlier in the week that her medical and everything was done. So guys, people that were calling me a tier 7, tier 6 reporter, yeah, put me a bit more up. Put me a bit more up. I reported on Tuesday a player did her medical for Manchester United women, signed her contract, fee was agreed with Barcelona, etc. Then other journalists picked it up. And then United announced her today. Put me a little bit up. A broken clock is right twice a day. Big up to Kadeem, says, hello, Mina, Evertonian here. Keep up the good work. I have a little soft spot for Everton. Big up to Kadeem. I hope you have a great evening. Not Mark Skinner. Nah. Me and Mark Skinner, we are homies, guys. It's not Mark Skinner. It's a coach at, what's it called, in America, that coaches in the American League, where Carolyn, the Brazilian player, plays. Me and Mark Skinner, we're homies, man. We're homies, man. Every time in press conferences, he's always like to me, how are you, man? How are you? You alright? How's the family? How's your mum? I'm like, yeah, all good. Asks his very personal questions. Mina 2.5, thank you very much. I'll take that. Big up to Keegan, says, it all hinges on Maguire or McSauce. I don't think either are leaving. I can't lie, I don't think either are leaving. I think if we were to let them go, it would have been earlier in the transfer window. The only concern I have is them leaving unless they've got a replacement on the cards immediately, i.e. like ready to sign on the dotted line, medical, everything. I think when you sell a player, for example, I'll give you an example. This is not really a relevant example, but Liverpool bidded for Moises Caicedo. Everyone suddenly knew that they had 100 million plus to spend. What happened? They got priced out. Chelsea brought Caicedo. They wanted to go and sign Decore from Crystal Palace. Crystal Palace quoted 80 plus million. When teams know that you suddenly have money because you've made a sell or you've made a bid for another player, then prices will go up. So I feel like if we sell Maguire or McTominay or both, people will know suddenly Manchester United have 60 million in the bank to add on to whatever they had already to use for transfers. I don't see McTominay leaving. I feel like us being linked to Amadou Onana at Everton was a possibility if McTominay left. I think Ten Hag is looking for height. He's looking for physicality in midfielders. And I think that's one thing that's obvious with Amadou Onana, the links there. Great player. I think he'd be great at Manchester United. But here you go. Mina, let's play the thumbs game for Amrabat. Up or down? Or I'll say it's this right now. Because on Amrabat's side, it's this. On United's side, it's like, United are moving a bit, like, you know, when you go, like, when you got a crush on someone, you know, there's a guy and a girl, yeah, the girl likes the guy, everyone knows the girl likes the guy, but the guy is just taking too long to ask her out on a date, so she's just sitting around waiting. What's gonna happen? Another guy's gonna come and take her out on a date. And what's gonna happen? They're gonna end up in a relationship, get married, live happily ever after. This is basically, that sums up that Amrabat situation. Everyone knows that Sofiane Amrabat wants to come to Manchester United. He's holding out for Manchester United. Personal terms agreed, there, done, all of that. But Manchester United are just eyeing him up from a distance. They're just eyeing him up from a distance. And that's it. That's literally it. And I think he might even feel like Man United are mugging him off. I would feel like that. Especially if they've had talks with his new agency. If they've made promises, whatever, like, yeah, we're gonna come through, and they don't. I'm surprised Liverpool haven't gone for him. Honestly, I'm very shocked that Liverpool have not gone in for him yet. I can't even say that. Mina-anologies. That's what you can get here on this channel, guys. That's what you can get here. Mina gives Skinner fashion advice for matching outfits. I'm telling you, me and Skinner, homies. We are big homies. But, guys, we're halfway through, and I really haven't spoken about tomorrow's game against Spurs. We briefly mentioned about starting at 11. Now, before I went live, I was watching United Views preview video with some guy. I can't remember what his name is. I think his name was Tobes or something like that. Seen him on the Big Six. and he's a Spurs fan, and he said that Mason Mount. They were talking about. I tuned in a bit late, so I tuned in at the part where they were talking about Maddison and Mason Mount, and he said that Maddison was better, but I feel like that's not comparable. They're not the same player. Number one, number two. Then they went on to compare Maddison and Bruno, which I think is more. I think it's more fair to compare the two. But one thing one thing I dislike, guys, is what's it called? Combined 11s. I hate combined 11s because I will always put Manchester United players in. Always. I don't care. I will be biased 95% of the time. I will be biased and I will put Manchester United players in. 95% of the time. That's my first point. Second point is I don't think it's an accurate representation of, like, for example, when you see starting 11s of Man United versus Arsenal and you see a combined 11, yeah, I don't feel like the choices are difficult sometimes because some of the, like, up front, for example, I could put Rashford there, yeah, but then again, you can argue that Rashford and Martinelli left hand side. It's just too much, guys. It's just too much. I dislike starting 11s, yeah, and I will be shameless every single time. I'll be biased every single time. That's why I don't really like doing that whole starting 11, combined 11 stuff. But tomorrow's game against Spurs, I don't know how you guys feel. A part of me is feeling a bit nervous after that Wolves game. Number one, I'm feeling a bit nervous after that Wolves game just because I feel like Wolves, any other team played the way that that Wolves did, we would have had our asses handed to us. Excuse my language, but we would have had it handed to us. That's my first point. That's my second point. And the third point is I'm worried about us in front of goal because it seems like in the Wolves game, and I think we can only really go off the Wolves game. There's not really much in like statistics or anything to go off because it's only been one game, but it seemed like whenever we got into the final third, we were just static. There was no fluidity. There was no understanding between the players, and I feel like with the Spurs team, they are this whole new manager bounce nonsense. I don't really hear that. But another thing that concerns me is our setup away from home. Like, you guys know how we played away from home last season. This is our first game. Like, I wish our first game of the season, yeah, was like an easier team. I wish. I'm not saying Spurs aren't easy, but you know, like, I wouldn't have mind the Forest game being our first away game. I wouldn't have mind something like, I don't know, Luton. I wouldn't have mind that Sheffield United, them kind of games. I wouldn't mind that being our first away game. But giving us Spurs first, followed by Chelsea, followed by Arsenal in a couple of weeks' time, when we are not good away from home last season. I think if there's any improvement I want to see in this team this season, it's our setup away from home. It has to be our setup away from home. Maddison is a big fish in a small pond. I can't believe we never got him. Somebody seriously get Koala off Google Translate. Koala's basically saying, like, there's no need to combine play teams, basically. But I just know this is from Google Translate. Big up to Ahmed says, Mina, who do you prefer, Gravenberch or Amrabat? I prefer Amrabat. But then again, the last time I really watched Gravenberch much was when he was at Ajax. So I haven't really seen him much at Bayern. I don't think he even plays much for Bayern. But for me, yeah, Amrabat. Definitely Amrabat. Then again, Gravenberch has worked with Ten Hag. Then again, I'm not really convinced about this whole, oh, this person has played with Ten Hag, they know the manager kind of thing. I get both of them have. I judge a lot of Amrabat off recency, what I've seen in recent time, because I've been watching him last season and then in the World Cup and then after the World Cup. Whereas Gravenberch, I'm basing him based on a couple of years ago when he was at Ajax. So I think that's a bit unfair for me to compare the two. But if it's coming just down to preference, purely just preference, I would say Amrabat. I'm worried about Basuma. He is so good. I was really impressed with him last week. And I think it's just because he didn't have the best season last season. He had a okay-ish, maybe underperformed sometimes, but that Spurs team last year were a mess. But I think Basuma, he's good. I think everybody knows how good Basuma is coming into just this season in general. And that's why I say don't judge players based on like their first or their new season, especially when I feel like when the team is going through a big overhaul, they're going through issues, getting managers leaving, managers getting sacked, etc., having a temporary manager. That's why I didn't judge Sancho on his first year at United, just because it was just a mess. And then his second season, obviously, he's had his issues off the pitch. And now we're coming into his third season, and this is why I'm saying this is the season that I'm gonna need him to go off. I think in the title set it says who needs to impress. Obviously, I think Sancho is one of them. I'm kind of already impressed with him, but I just need consistency. But I feel like there's kids screaming outside at this time of the night. It's not nighttime, but literally kids just screaming. It's kind of crazy. I know it's summer holidays and that, but damn. Anyways, sorry about that. What I was going to say was, in terms of who needs to impress, the only thing I need to see, I think, is consistency in performances. For example, Wan-Bissaka had a good game against Wolves. I'm going to need that to be consistent next game. Of course, it's just dependent on whether you start every game, because you can't be consistent if you don't have an opportunity to play consistently. But I think every player in that team need to be good. They have to be impressive. I don't think anybody's impressed me, even in pre-season. I'm not going to lie. I haven't been moved by anyone. Opening game of the season, I wasn't really moved by anyone. I hope Andre Onana doesn't do a madness tomorrow. That's all I'm hoping for. I'm hoping he doesn't do a madness tomorrow. Everyone needs to impress if we are being honest. Facts, I totally agree. I think I would say that some people more so than others. I'm not going to name any people. But Anthony, I'm joking now. I'm not going to name any people, but I think there's some players more so than others definitely need to impress more. I'll say that nobody really has a solidified spot. I would say maybe Onana. Would you say that Onana is the only player that really has his spot locked in? Because really and truly, who's the other option that we got? Heaton. Heaton is the only other option we got. We sold Kovar. We ain't getting another backup goalkeeper. So really and truly, unless Andre Onana does something to piss Eric Ten Hag off, I don't think he's getting benched anytime soon. So I think we can say that his spot is solidified. But I think everywhere else in that team, nobody's got a solidified spot. Maybe Bruno. I'd say Bruno's spot is probably solidified. I wouldn't say Rashford's spot is solidified. I'd say his space in the starting 11 is solidified. But depending on where Ten Hag wants to play him, that depends on where he'll play. Varane, maybe, if he stays fit. Martinez spot solidified, yeah. Maybe Martinez, if he just behaves himself, or if he stays fit. They said that he came off against Wolves because of a little ankle knock or something. But I think it's because he got booked in the first 20 minutes. And he was just on reckless settings. He must have been around KG way too much on the United tour, because he was just on reckless settings. But I think other than that, Casemiro probably as well, because who else are we gonna play there? Are we gonna play? Imagine McTominay, guys, playing as a lone six. Imagine McTominay as a lone six for Manchester United. That would be hilarious. That would actually be hilarious. And you know what? I would like to see that. I'm curious. I'm actually curious to see how that would work out. A midfield of McTominay, Mount, and then Bruno in front of them. I'm very curious to see what that would look like. How would that shape up in a game? Because I'm just imagining Mount doing bare running, McTominay doing bare running. But you know when you're running a lot, but there's not really... you're just running for no reason. There's no direction. There's no direction where you're running. In my language, you say, you're just running for the sake of it. That's what I can imagine happening with them two. That would be hilarious. Heaton is injured. Exactly. So Andre Onana's spot is definitely solidified in that case. Maguire in reserves is solidified. Maguire versus Evans fight for fourth choice centre back. They're not even fourth choice. It's Martinez, Varane. That's 1 and 2. Number 3, Lindelof. Number 4, Luke Shaw. Number 5, I'd even go to say Eric Bailly, but I don't think Ten Hag has any plan for Eric Bailly in this team. And then obviously Johnny Evans, and then Harry, and then me, and then Harry Maguire. So Harry Maguire is like 8th. He's 8th in line to the throne to play at centre back position, which is crazy to me because I feel like as a footballer, would you just not just go? I know it's not as easy as that, but as a do we have to question, guys? I got a question to ask you guys. Do we have to question his ambition? Because we see youngsters leave for playing time. Yeah, we see youngsters leave for playing time. So do we have to question what the hell Harry Maguire is doing with his career? Because we see players leaving at the age of, they leave clubs at the age of 19, 20, 21 to go and get playing time, even if they leave to another league. And he's happy to just sit and rot on the bench. I have a friend that played football, yeah, and they played for Chelsea Academy team, big up to him. Played in the Chelsea Academy team, won bare trophies, came up with Mason Mount, Tammy Abraham, Fikayo Tomori, all of that Academy Cobham team. And they were training with the first team alongside Mount and Tomori and Ruben Loftus-Cheek and Tammy Abrahams, all of them. And basically Mount got into the to the 23-man, team. Mount was most likely to get in. Mount was most likely to get in. They played in similar positions. Anyway, they ended up both going out on loan to Vitesse, and then Mount had a crazy season at Vitesse. On the other hand, my friend didn't. He had a decent season, got injured, and then came back to Chelsea, and then decided to leave, go to Saudi Arabia. He's one of the first players I remember from this side of the world to go to Saudi Arabia about 4 or 5 years ago. Obviously now everybody's going, but my point is that players at young ages, 20s, they will leave their comfort zone to go play in another country, in another continent, just so that they can play first team football. I know people that play in Eastern Europe. I know someone that plays in the Bulgarian league, and they came up in a big UK academy. So should we not question Harry Maguire and his complacency? Should we not question? And as a manager, for example, like with Southgate, I don't even question Southgate because I think Southgate's an idiot. I think Southgate is like a jar of jam. He's useless. No offense to anyone that likes jam. I don't like jam. But to me, he's like a jar of jam. I'll just dash it out the window. Useless. But don't you have to question the England manager? Because, I will give you a good example, yeah? And I'm sorry to bring women's football into it for people who don't watch women's football, but England women's team are in the Women's World Cup final, having come off the back of winning the Euros, yeah? Everybody in that starting 11 for England, yeah, plays for their club consistently. Everybody there is a starter for their club. Everyone. Even most of the people that are on the bench, few of them don't. Few of them are rotational players, but they still play regularly. So Serena Wiegman clearly has standards when it comes to picking players for competitions. Even when they're playing in like the Arnold Cup, whatever it's called, which is their version of like Nations League or whatever, she only calls up people that are playing. Serena Wiegman would never call up Harry Maguire in that case, but Southgate would. It does not make any sense. And this is I'm not slandering Harry Maguire because I get why, as a person, he genuinely believes that he's good enough to play for the club. And I like a bit of delusion. I like a bit of confidence. And I like a bit of delusion, yeah? Number one. Number two, he has every right to be paid the money that he's entitled to. He has every right because it's a contractual obligation, yeah? I can't, as much as I might not want him at the club, I can't shame him. But what I can shame him for is his happiness to rot on the bench. yeah, in your prime years of football, by the time your contract's done at the club and you leave on a free, I guarantee you Saudi ain't taking you. I guarantee Saudi won't. I guarantee you, forget Saudi, Qatar League won't want you. Al Rayyan and them man, Al Ain in the UAE, they wouldn't want him. So I kind of have to question it. Big up to Adam, says Macquarie. Macquarie. Kind of looks like Quagmire from. Do you guys think he looks like Quagmire from Family Guy? Let me Google him. I forgot what Quagmire looks like, but I'm kind of getting Quagmire vibes. Quagmire. Oh man, it's because big up to Adam. Shout out to oh my god, I'm actually gonna cry of laughter. Shout out to Adam because he's been calling Maguire in the chat. He's been saying Maguire, so I don't know if it was a play on Quagmire, Maguire. That's what I thought. I thought he was trying to say, he put Quagmire and Maguire together and he got Maguire. Big up to Adam. Oh man, shout out to Lil Yo-Yo, says I just googled your friend Mina, same team as Uncle Sui. Yep. God, I think they even played together in the cup that they just won. The cup that they just won. Harry Maguire got something on Southgate. He's holding Southgate's wife hostage or something. He's got something on Southgate because that's the only way that he's playing all the time. Like I don't think. Yeah, it just doesn't make sense. Big up to John Boy, says nothing to prove. Lol, he's proved he's a clumsy dinosaur of a player. Damn, tell us how you really feel. Wiegman should coach both teams. Fun fact: Serena Wiegman is Dutch. We have a Dutch manager. If England win the World Cup, that means we're winning the Premier League. That's what it means. It's written for us, Tad. That's what's written for us to happen. He took the fall for the Greek incident. Southgate Barnes first. So there's a theory that Southgate and Maguire were together in Greece. Is that the theory? Can we get Sakina Karchawi to United? Oh yeah, I would love to have her at United, but I don't see that ever happening. She's through and through PSG. Serena Wiegman to manage the men's team. Thoughts, Mina? Do you think it could work? One thing I would say is it could work. She'd be a great coach. Firstly, she's better than flipping Phil Neville. Phil Neville used to be the England women's manager. He was useless. Clearly, the Nevilles have nothing. They don't have a career in coaching, clearly. Because how's Serena Wiegman coming in and doing more in like 2 years or 3 years or whatever it is? But one thing I will say is that I don't think the pinnacle of success in women, in just football in general, it shouldn't be like... Serena Wiegman is a successful manager. If she wins the World Cup and bear in mind, yeah, guys, she won the Euros with the Netherlands in 2017. 2019, she took them to the World Cup final, lost to USA, took over England, took them to the finals, won the Euros, and then now she has them through to the Women's World Cup finals. She's gone to 4 consecutive finals in tournaments, yeah? 4 consecutive ones. And I don't think that, the next step up is for her to go to men's football, because that's not, like, we shouldn't equate success to being, going from women's to men's football. You can be successful, like, make a legacy in women's football, if you know what I mean. I don't see it happening. I feel like, just look at the outrage that has happened, guys. I saw a poll from YouGov, yeah? YouGov in the UK, if you guys don't know what YouGov is, it's like a polling website that does polls in the UK for the wider public, and they always do polls during the elections, all of that kind of stuff. And they did a poll and said, should Monday be a bank holiday in the UK, in England, if England win the World Cup? Yeah, they showed the results of like the ages and then the genders. Women said yes. Most women said yes. I think it was like 60 something percent. Men, it was like 40 something percent said yes, and the rest said no. And then you look at the ages, and everybody under the age of 65, yeah, it was a majority yes. And then everyone over the age of 65 said no. It was like 81% said no. Why would you not want a day off for England? Like, I don't get it. If England men won the Euros that were in the final, or if they got through to the final of the World Cup and they ended up winning it, they would have given us. They were ready to already pass the law in Parliament to give a bank holiday. They were ready to do that. Anyway, I will be doing a vibe along, guys, for the women's game. Kickoff is 11 a.m. on Sunday, so make sure you guys come. Stop by, wipe your feet, like the video, and we cheer on England to win the World Cup, because I do not want Spain to win it at all. I'm a big hater of Spain. That's why I respect Emma Hayes for staying in her lane, empowering women's football and dominating. She scares me, man. I'm scared. Like, I'm not scared of a lot of people, yeah, but I'm scared of Emma Hayes. Like, I'm actually fully scared of Emma Hayes. Nottingham Forest 1-0 up already. Thank you, Adam, for letting us know. It's very silly that the game is not even on television. Like, only in the UK, yeah, do you spend practically £1,000 a year on television to watch sports, and then you can't even watch every game. It's my son's 21st birthday on Sunday. Everyone, make sure you wish Mike's son a happy 21st. I hope he has a great day, whatever you guys have planned for him, and I hope England win on behalf of him or for him. I live in Spain, but come on, England. Hello, why are you scared? She's a whole legend, dominating to extreme levels. Because I had a funny encounter with her. I don't know if I've ever told you guys, but I've had a very funny encounter with her. It was my first proper game that I was covering, for Manchester United versus Chelsea women. And basically I asked a question in the press conference, and they had just beaten United 1-0. It was a very tight game. United, like, I think got robbed of like 2 penalties, and then I asked her a question, and she basically was like, why are you asking me that? That's your job. Ask me more relevant questions. I basically said, like, why were you lot just playing, like, was your whole tactic just long balls, because that's all you were doing? And she said, oh, don't talk to me about tactics. It's your job to analyze tactics. It's not my job to tell you about it. And I was like, wow, okay. Then I left the press conference, whatever, went to the toilet on my way out. As I'm walking in, who do I see walking out of the cubicle? Emma Hayes. And I was just like, hi. And she was like, hi. She was like, oh, you asked me that question about tactics. I was like, yeah. She's like, yeah, okay, yeah. All right, have a good day. And she just looked angry. Then I found out like a few days later that she was sick. Like, had been sick that entire week. She had a flu and everything. So she just was in an angry mood. And then fast forward like months later, I see her at the FA Cup final. I didn't stay for her press conference. I only stayed for Mark Skinner's, and then we went to like the mix zone to talk to players. And then as she was talking to like Sky, everything, after the press conference, everything, you know, they walk out and they're leaving. She's talking to Sky, everything, and then she just walked past me, and then she was like, oh, I remember you. And I was like, from where? And she was like, oh, from our last game against Manchester United. And I was like, oh shit. Yeah, she told me not to ask her basically about tactics in a press conference. I was just being nice. I thought I asked a very good question. And the thing is, whenever I've asked managers about tactics, they've never been reluctant to answer it. She's the only one that's ever been reluctant to answer it. And I think it's because they scored from like a ball over the top to Sam Kerr. And then that's all they were doing throughout most of the game. And I basically said to her, was that your only tactic? And it ended up working for you to get a goal. And obviously she knew that I was covering United, so yeah. And then when I saw her at the FA Cup, I couldn't stop laughing, because I was like, how did she even remember me? But to be honest, in a press conference, it's not hard to remember me. Like, I'm the only one that looks like this. I'm the only one that dresses like this. It's very much easy to remember who I am. And I think that's why Mark Skinner remembers me at every press conference as well, because I look different to everyone else. So it kind of works in my favor. But guys, before I get too carried away with a bunch of stories, for tomorrow's game, I'm going to come through with my predictions. Then I want to hear everybody else's predictions, of course. I think it's going to be 2-1 United. 2-1 or 2-0. I think we might be able to leak a goal. Just because I feel like in transition, we saw the issues that we had against Wolverhampton. But I say 2-1 or 2-0. I think we're winning. You know, Rashford likes a goal against the top six. I think it's going to be a Rashford and Bruno goal, or Rashford and Anthony goal. I think it'll be one or the other. damn, some people are predicting that we're going to lose. Aki saying 3-1 to Tottenham, unfortunately. Mike says the opposite, 3-1 win for us. Adam, pessimistic, says 2-0 Spurs. Big up to Adam. Lil Yo-Yo says we're going to win 3-1. A lot of 3-1s. I'm just amazed that you lot think we could score 3 goals away from home against the top 6. That's serious. You guys have some serious belief. I respect that. A lot of 3-1s. Shout out to Eric Reed saying 3-1. Najib saying United 2-0. I think 2-1 is me even being a bit optimistic. I think that's me being way too optimistic. But some of you lot saying 3-1. The funny thing is someone just mentioned Richarlison in the chat, yeah? I saw a video, I don't know if you guys saw, of Callum Wilson and Mikel Antonio they got a podcast with like the BBC, and they were just taking the piss out of Richarlison. And I felt kind of bad because I thought Richarlison's played in Champions League. He scored in the World Cup, scored one of the best goals in the last World Cup. They can take the piss out of him as much as they want. But really and truly, they're not chatting to him when it comes to what he's done so far. And I'm pretty sure he's even younger than some of like Callum Wilson and Antonio. Or maybe they might be around the same age. I'm not 100% sure. But I feel like Richarlison might score against us, yeah? Just so that he can prove a point. Just because he's got beef with, like, if he wants to score, please, yeah, save that. Save that for when you play Newcastle and West Ham. And then go and celebrate in their faces. But one thing I will say is that Wan-Bissaka is gonna clamp down. He's gonna clamp down Son. He's gonna clamp down Son. Antonio won a trophy, man. Wilson in the Champions League this season, but look how long it took them in their careers to win stuff. Neither of them. I'm sorry, yeah. If you go to somewhere in like, I don't know, Africa, somewhere Far East Asia, yeah, and you name Mikel Antonio, Callum Wilson and Richarlison, I guarantee you people will know Richarlison because he's played for the Brazil national team. This is not me defending him, by the way. I'm just trying to be a like devil's advocate and that. But you go places like that and they know Richarlison. If people are watching the World Cup, which, you know, even if you don't watch Premier League, you watch the World Cup, they will know Richarlison. He scored a banger in the World Cup. He's been playing for Brazil. Obviously, he hasn't won much. I don't even think he's won anything. I actually don't think he's won anything. But I'm pretty sure... Quagmire just came up on my phone. I'm pretty sure he's younger than all of them. Alright, he's 26, yeah? I'm pretty sure Mikel Antonio is like 29 or something. 33! He's 30. Mikel Antonio is 33. Yeah, and Callum Wilson is like 30, I think. 31. Richarlison is 26. They're not even age mates. I'm sorry, yeah. They're not even age mates. That's bullying. That's bullying. What has he won? He won a gold in the Summer Olympics for Brazil. He's won the Copa America. Yeah, he's won the Copa America and he won at the Summer Olympics. Them other guys, I can't lie, they've got 5, 6, 7 years on him. Minor, Custer Pigeon Dance. Yeah, I can't lie. I don't like that celebration. That celebration, I don't like it. I don't like it. This is the funniest thing ever. Oh my god. Shout out to Koala says, I show people a picture of Callum Wilson and they think it's Craig David. Oh my god, that is hilarious. That is hilarious. Oh my god. I had to go look at a picture of Callum Wilson again just so that I can remember what he's won. What he looks like, sorry. He's played for Everton and Spurs, not going to win much there. And to be honest, like, I can't lie. He went to Spurs at a time when he wasn't playing. Like, last year, he was coming off the bench. He was coming off the bench last year. But, guys, I'm going to go, back to the predictions. I got a bit carried away talking about the whole Callum Wilson and that kind of stuff. That koala joke absolutely killed me, man. That is probably the funniest thing that I've heard. I'm hoping for Onana clean sheet. I would like that too, because I feel like the second that Onana concedes or the second we lose a game, yeah, people are going to bring up David De Gea. People will bring up, oh, you know, you let go the Golden Glove winner from last season for this new goalkeeper, blah, blah, blah. And I feel like with Manchester United, not just opponents, guys, but pundits are just waiting on players to slip up so that they can criticize them, be very critical of them. And it's annoying. Even when I see people talking about like Andre Onana for sometimes, I've seen on beIN Sport them doing like breakdown analysis with the screen and all of that. And I'm like, give the guy a chance. At least criticize him or have a discussion and discourse on the way that he plays. When he's played 10 games for the club, when you've got a bigger variety to go off of, you know? But the fact that they wait for one game, and boy, oh boy, you guys know if Wolves got a penalty that night in the opening game, you guys know the discourse around the discourse around the game would have been solely focused on Andre Onana. You guys already know that. I think I know that for sure. So I hope you lot know that too, that if we lose a game and it's because, or we draw a game, or we drop points, or we concede a goal. You guys saw the preseason game at Old Trafford when he got lobbed. I think it was Old Trafford. When he got like lobbed from like 45 yards out. That was literally on the front pages of everywhere that I saw that was talking. And that's preseason. I never seen anyone talking about other clubs' preseason games. But everybody had something to say about that. So imagine it happens in the Premier League. So for my sake, for our sake, and for Andre Onana's sake, I hope absolutely that he has a clean sheet tomorrow. Absolutely. Like, I'll be very disappointed. But like I said, I'm going with a 2-1 win. Of course, I will go live a bit after the game because I will be on United View tomorrow. So it'll probably be like later in the evening. I will go live and we'll discuss about what we've learned from game week 2. Hopefully it will be a W. Hopefully we can come off the back of a W. I'm going to wear actually my good luck shirt, my lucky Manchester United shirt tomorrow, which is the blue 2008 one. I'm going to wear that for good luck. And if we win, you guys know it's linked to the shirt, of course. But big up to everyone for sticking around for this long. As always, Friday Night Lights. Are you on the panel? I should be. Unless I got dropped from the roster 24 hours before, I should be on the panel tomorrow for United View's match view versus Spurs, of course. I thought Flay G banned you from the studio because they're shook of you on FIFA. Nah, can never be banned. I run the studio, guys. I run the studio. You guys know when I'm in the studio, we win. It's a guarantee. It's a guarantee. I'm on a winning. I think in my whole last year, I think we lost one game. And that was, we lost 2 games. West Ham, because of David De Gea, and Arsenal. Every other game, we've won. That's all I have to say. Big up to everyone for sticking around. As always, I appreciate it. Make sure you join me tomorrow after the Spurs game so we can chop it up and talk about the result. And then Sunday, it will be the vibe along for the Women's World Cup final. Make sure you guys hit the like button on the way out. You know what it is. Always, guys, it's your girl, Mina. Until tomorrow, peace.